Hey there, this is the Road to 2019, Friday night, 9:30 p.m. Our time to take stock of everything that's happened in the world of politics and specifically in the build-up to the general election. And yes, I know that December is nearly here, which means that all eyes are going to continue to be on the assembly elections and what that possibly means. But we will take you through some of the other major factors, as we always do. Good news for the government, bad news for the government, political developments, the index of alliance unity. So lots of actually pieces coming up there. In the case of the good news, oil prices continue to slide, LPG prices down. Pollsters are predicting a tight finish in MP and Chhattisgarh, which is an upswing for the BJP compared to some of the earlier polls. Bad news, well, GDP growth, farmers' unrest, some of those questions need to be looked at. So yeah, that's good news for the government that we were talking about. Oil prices continuing to slide, strengthening to a 3-month high. LPG prices have been cut, and a tight finish in those states. Bad news includes Q2 growth numbers that are actually down a little bit. Farmers' unrest, is that going to play a major factor? And the chief economic advisor, the former chief economic advisor, comes out and says demonetization was a draconian measure that may have had an impact. Now, is that going to bring demonetization back onto the agenda? Well, we'll wait and see. Top political developments are the farmers' rallies, which we're going to be discussing on the show. Politics over faith, this entire Pakistan issues continue to go around. And then, again, religion and politics is always there. We've had the UP Chief Minister terming Lord Hanuman as backward or backward caste. And, is that sort of a combination of Hindutva and caste politics is something that we're going to be taking a look at. Index of alliance unity, which we keep looking at every week. Rahul and Kejriwal today sharing a stage, perhaps for the first time ever. Is that an interesting portent, or is it just by chance because it was at a farmers' protest? So that's one. TDP and Congress bonhomie seems to be going really well. They've hated each other for decades, but they seem to be getting along really well, that rally that was held in Hyderabad. In the NDA alliance, though, in Bihar, some questions around what's happening, because Chirag Paswan is now saying that he's not going to accept a dishonorable seat-sharing deal. So is everything okay or not is something that needs to be monitored. Right, we're going to have two parts today. We're going to be taking a look at the assembly elections which are happening and everything that's been, all the various issues that are coming up around that. But first, at least some of the issues that we are seeing out here deal with the economy, deal with GDP numbers, and deal with farmers and what we saw today. So let me welcome all of our guests here. Deshat Nigam is with us, political analyst. Ashok Tandon is with us, senior journalist, political analyst, was media advisor, of course, to the late Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Mohammad Khan is with us from the Congress Party. Nalini Singh, senior journalist, with us as well. And Avik Saha is with us, national convener of the Jai Kisan Andolan. So thank you all so much for being with us. We always like to look at data on this particular program. And I'm just going to bring up a particular slide which we've often looked at to try and understand what it means. And those are those bi-poll election results. Now, people always have been saying that you shouldn't always extrapolate bi-polls to what happens in an assembly elections or bi-polls to what's going to happen in the general election. But one of the interesting things that comes up when you put this graphic up is if the BJP has lost 10 of the 12 bi-polls that have taken place since 2017, and those are the various results that you're seeing, BJP has lost a large number of them, 10 out of 12. Many of them have actually been rural seats. Not entirely surprising, because at the end of the day, most of the seats in the country are rural. Does that indicate farmers' anger? And if there's farmers' anger, whom is it aimed at? Let's just get all of you in a couple of minutes to comment on this. But before I do that, let's just show you some of the comments that we did hear at that farmers' march today.
बाकी सब पार्टी के नेता यहाँ बैठे हैं। हमारी विचारधाराएं अलग हो सकती है, मगर किसान के भविष्य के लिए, युवाओं के भविष्य के लिए हम सब एक होकर स्टेज पे खड़े हैं। मगर हिंदुस्तान का किसान ये कह रहा है, अगर आप अनिल अंबानी को 30,000 करोड़ रुपए हिंदुस्तान की एयरफोर्स का पैसा दे सकते हो, तो हमारी मेहनत के लिए, हमारे खून के लिए, हमारे पसीने के लिए भी आपको हमें कर्जा माफ करके देना ही पड़ेगा।
100 करोड़ों के भाइयों के बताइए, आप में से कितने नाम जानते हो उस भाइयों का? आज भाजपा की घमंडी से साथ कहे हमारे पास इतनी बड़ी पार्टी है, ताकत है, सिर्फ दो ही लोग याद है, वो है नरेंद्र मोदी और वो है अमित शाह।
ये बीमा बंद करना चाहिए। ये बीमा योजना नहीं है, ये भारतीय जनता पार्टी की किसान डाका योजना है, किसानों पे डाका डालने के लिए।
अगर नीम कोटेड यूरिया से लेकर के और एमएसपी के तहत जो है वो आजादी के बाद पहली बार दुगनी फसल की कीमत और फायदे को का जो है संकल्प लिया गया और उसको आगे बढ़ाया गया।
Okay, some of the voices that we heard. Let me just ask you, Avik Saha, let me turn to you, the national convener of the Jai Kisan Andolan. It became an issue for a lot of political parties to step forward. It became a platform where from Rahul Gandhi to Kejriwal to Yechuri, a lot of the opposition leaders came out there and started to speak. Was it supposed to be a political rally always?
Not at all. I think it's very important for everyone to understand and separate the facts from the fireworks. The facts are like this. AIKSCC, the umbrella organization of 206 organizations, has decided that the agrarian crisis, which is a structural problem and has been raging long before the BJP came to power, needs a resolution, and two of the key issues are remunerative guaranteed prices and freedom from debt once you start giving those prices. We've legislated two bills. Now, as you know, these two bills have to be passed by Parliament. So engagement with political parties is a part of that process. In March 2018, we invited all political parties, including the BJP, to engage in this. Some parties came forward, 21 parties supported. Today, we had called these parties not to again extend the same support, but to make a commitment in front of the people that they will include the core subject of these two bills in their upcoming election manifestos. This is a democratic process. This is how a farmers' agitation is trying to legally resolve the problem. It's providing a solution to the government. The government seems to have lost its mental balance. It's like a patient who's been given medicine to have but is not having the medicine. Now, what do you do after this? So this is nothing to do with political parties, nothing to do with politics. Of course, political parties will take mileage out of this. But our demands remain passage of the two bills through a special session of Parliament, which can only happen if political parties come together.
Okay, so, you had a lot of the opposition parties, coming out there today and talking about it, but you're saying it's something you're appealing to everyone to do. BJP, opposition, NDA, UPA, they should all come together and pass it. If I could just get you, very briefly, for the sake of everyone watching this, what specifically are the sort of demands that you want? What would be there in the bills that would really make a difference?
The core issue is price. All farmers must get remunerative minimum support price, which is that C2 Swaminathan Commission report, etc. And for the major basket of crops. Without this, the farmers can never get out of debt. The farmers cannot have farming cannot become profitable. If farming is not profitable, the 40, 50 crore people who are engaged in this will leave it and then go where? So we are looking at an economic crisis which is of huge proportion and affects the entire nation. So I think we should also start calling this a national crisis and not just an agrarian crisis.
Okay, let me just turn to everyone else on this panel to try and get a sense of what the farmers are asking for. Deshat, why don't I start with you? In a sense, did the BJP, is the BJP, to your mind, did it miss a trick or something by not actually being there also and saying, okay, we will all sit and consider what the issues are?
I mean, whatever you may say that it was non-political, it clearly appeared to be political. The rally was clearly political with Communists and Congress and everybody there. And be that as it may, this agrarian issues have been, accumulating since a very long period of time, and the government and the present government has, applied its mind to it, and even at the micro level. And if you look at the allocation, budgetary allocation, and keeping the inflation in mind, 11% inflation during UPA's time and 4.5% during this regime's time. The allocation during 2009 and 14 was 1,21,082 crores, which is almost doubled in 2014 and to 19, 2,11,694 crores. So the emphasis started right from the beginning. And if you look at further, the suicide trends, if you look at NCRB data, it was highest in 2005. 2009 it was about 18,000. 2015 it was 12,500. There is a declining trend, although everybody is making halla balla that it's going on. Enough effort has been done. Like, there is no shortage of urea today. Earlier it used to be available in black market. It used to be siphoned off in chemical industries. And I can name one after the other.
Let me tell you. You're saying the farmers have no reason to complain.
No, I'm not saying so. These issues were accumulating since long. Lot has been done, lot is being done, and lot more is to be done. That is what I'm saying.
Okay, is that a fair point that the issues that are being spoken about right now have been building up over a large period of time, and that this government has done whatever it could to try and solve them?
While I have the highest personal regard for Deshratan sir, I must say that I disagree with almost every single thing he said. You talk about farmers' suicides, you say that the data is misleading, then why don't you reveal the data for the last 2 years? Why are you sitting on it? What do you have to hide? When the Supreme Court has to intervene to remind you that, boss, implement MG and Narega, because there has been a 46% increase in farmer suicides in the first 2 years, what do you turn around and say to the farmers? That they are tone deaf, that they are lying? And if you have indeed acceded to their request on MSP plus 50, then why have they marched to Delhi today? But can I say something, Vikram sir? This is not the first march. This is the third such agitation this year, fourth in the last 1.5 years. And do you remember last year, Tamil Nadu farmers came down. They carried the bones of their brethren who had committed suicide. Not a single representative from the government met them. The children of farmers who had committed suicide in Maharashtra came down and protested at Jantar Mantar with one request. They wanted to meet the Prime Minister or anyone from his office. Not a single representative from the government met them. Number 3, there was a huge gathering at Ram Leela Maidan a few months ago. Every channel blacked it out. Yours was the only channel that literally covered it. No channel reported on it. Do you remember Mandsaur, where they fired on farmers and called them congressmen? Deshratan sir, you said this matter is political. Let us assume that what you're saying is true. But does that detract from or change the facts? Does that make their claims any less credible? And please, let me conclude by saying this. Do not, in your wildest dreams, compare yourself to the Congress. The Congress's record on farmers' rights is first rate compared to you. I'll give you 5 examples and you deny me if I'm wrong. 1 lakh crore ka loan waiver, Food Security Act, land acquisition.
What happened to Karnataka loan waiver?
Karnataka loan waiver, Punjab
what
loan waiver.
What happened? Not been
all
given.
Of them have been
it is
dispersed.
all in air.
Sir, they was dispersed in the very first week itself. So please don't lecture us on farmers' rights. I know a lot more could have been done, Vikram,
so
sir, of course.
On the optics, so okay, hang on, I'm going to ask Nalini.
I can give hard datas after hard datas. They have no answer, let me tell you.
Okay, we'll come to that. I'm just going to look at the optics for a minute, the political optics of this. At the end of the day, this is an election show. We're looking at what's going to happen in 2019. So I'm going to look a little bit at the optics of it also. If you remember, Nalini Singh, let's go back to the era of the UPA. When it became almost clear that the UPA had missed something major, at the time when all those protests were taking place in Delhi on women's rights after Nirbhay and the brutal attack that happened, and the fact that senior Congress leaders didn't come out and talk to the crowds or express solidarity or express sympathy, some people believed that that was a very major turning point that had happened. Is the BJP and the government missing an opportunity by not being more visible out there, talking about farmers' issues?
At that time, I was on the base of Raisina Hill, the one that goes to the Rashtrapati Bhavan, where the crowds had collected. And one anchor said that the government has missed the plot. And I said to myself, these are the words. This is what describes the UPA government just now. And I must say to you, it is, for me, it's very disappointing that our spokespersons of political parties are making it sound again. They're going to come to a skirmish, a verbal skirmish. How sad, because these are farmers, and for any government in the world, but today for any government in India, the farmers' future and jobs for the youth, these two should be actually, these should be their central concerns. I want to say to you,
just look at that picture. All opposition parties are there, right? The opposition parties are there. They're standing there saying we're standing with the supporters. What would you have done if you were in the government? If you were the agriculture minister, if you were the prime minister, well, prime minister is not here. But if you were actually in the government, what would you have done? Would you also gone there and joined the opposition?
Yes.
And sort of stood there and said, okay,
yes.
farmers, we are also
Yes,
with you.
yes, indeed, I would have done that if I were in government. The second thing is, my focus would be on the realized prices for the farmer, not of MSP, etc., the realized prices, and how much technology is going into literally the field and metaphorically the field. So I would just say that, first of all, I would be there. And today, to say that this is political, that these crowds, these farmers have actually been collected. Hey, let's say that they were collected, but these are farmers of our country, or are they not? And are they saying something, or are they not? You've got women whose husbands committed suicide. They've got placards of their photographs or their bodies. I mean, come on, are we going to say this is politics, so therefore avoid looking at these women? This is not correct. What's happened really is that the survey that everybody has been quoting shows that the household income of an agricultural farmer in our country is an average of 8,000 plus, out of which cultivation is about 3,800. Even if you say that we are going to increase the minimum support price, we are giving irrigation, we are giving technology, you're only looking at 40% of the income. 40% is wage labor, and then it's livestock. And what have you done to livestock? I need to know today. Cattle. Can you mention the word cow? Can you say cow and buffalo and livestock and animal husbandry? Okay. You're going to get into problems. So social conflict, etc. It is actually visible today.
Okay, Desh, you want to reply to that?
See, I'm not saying that everything is perfect. Everything has been taken care of. I'll give you one data which is very startling. In 2013, farmers' income was somewhere about 6,300 rupees. In 2016-17, it increased by 40% to about 9,000 rupees, 8,931 to be precise. Now, things are improving. But
what are the real incomes? I'm so sorry.
No, but certainly, no. I'll answer. I'll answer.
And there is a promise that the farmers' incomes will be doubled.
If from the UPA's time, if 40% increase is from 2013 to 2016, the trend, I think it will be crossed in 2019 to 2020. That's what I think.
Because it's been 4 years, and if it's gone up by 40%.
No, not 4 years. 2016-17 data. This is 2016, and this is NABARD and SSO data, not my own data.
No, but may I say,
2016, and now I'll answer your question. I'll answer your question. Just give me 1 second.
Certainly.
If it was 11% inflation at that point of time, and the income was 6,300. And now it is roughly about 9,000 and 4.5. In real terms, the income is more.
May I say, sir?
Well, actually, the nominal increase will always be reduced by the amount to which there has been inflation to get the real rights.
So therefore, it would be much lower. It would be much lower if you say 11% at 2013
level.
Can
I just give you one data point very to Mr. Nigam, that Niti Aayog has said that it has taken 22 years to double farmers' income from 93-94 to 15-16. 22 years. These are Niti Aayog's figures. So therefore, we cannot say that the kind of 40% increase in 2 years that
this is NABARD and NSSO data, not my.
I'm talking about Niti Aayog, sir. You can check it.
No, I'm comparing 2013 to 2016-17.
You're missing the larger picture.
So that was, you can see the pathetic stage at that point of time.
Farmers need support schemes to supplement their income.
All right, I'm going to.
What is the sample size of the NABARD data?
I can give you 20.
I'm just about to come to you. Let me get Mr. Tandon's not had a chance to say, get a single word in. Somebody's going to turn to him. Then I'm turning to you.
See, I have a totally different perception of this academic discussion. The thing is, all of us who are discussing the agrarian distress and all that, see, the thing is, agriculture sector, rural sector, they are not a constituency. They are not a vote bank. That is why things have not percolated down to them. In fact, one leader, a Kisan leader, told me, I wish we were a constituency, we were a vote bank, things would have been different.
But
So
of course
unfortunately,
but in a sense,
no,
farmers,
Vikram,
how can you say that farmers' votes
Western
don't matter?
Union,
no,
for example,
because
turned
at
the
the end
tide.
of the day, Vikram, unfortunately, farmers vote on caste line. That is why they have not benefited, and all these agitations have been going on for the last 7 decades. Manavendra Singh Ticket was a great farmer leader. In Western UP, I can name half a dozen former leaders who have done a lot of things in the past. But fact remains, sorry,
That is
just
such
one
an
second.
interesting point. Hang on, I'm just
No,
going
just 1 second, let me complete. See, unfortunately, all political parties, whosoever have been in power at the center or the state, have been just giving promises or even making announcements. But things have not percolated down to the level. That is why there are suicide. That is why agriculture sector remains what it is today. I don't believe in any figure, because I know for certain things have not reached the bottom of the common man. Whatever may be, even today's agitation will turn out to be only a political stunt, because at the end of the day, I wish all the farmers in the country would form a forum, form a kind of a constituency, and they should vote on the farmer issues. But the way politics is, they at the end of the day, they vote on caste line and they remain divided.
Let me just turn to Mr. Shah. It's an interesting point that is there, and I'm seeing Nalini Singh nodding her head.
Yes.
Would you agree with that? That one of the reasons why farmers' issues remain all this time is, although obviously by any definition the farmer should be a really, really powerful factor in politics, he's saying it doesn't end up being that way, because their votes all get split up. They vote on caste lines and other issues, and therefore farmers' issues don't actually become politically important in the manner that you might think they would. Mr. Shah.
Is that for me? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
that's
was
for you. I'm just asking you,
not
that
very
would you
clear on
agree with that theory?
Yeah. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Farmers need to vote as a profession, as a group of people, not on caste, religion and other lines. That is exactly what we are trying to do at AIKCC, and that was today's rally. We are showing to both the opposition and the ruling party that farmers are an important voting group. Their interest is in jeopardy. They are in very bad state. If you don't look at them, that's why we made the opposition parties promise to include it in their manifesto. And of course, if they fail to carry out the manifesto, if the great, supreme, mighty Mr. Modi can be brought down by the farmers through the next election, then anybody can be. That's the message. We are trying to convert the farmers into a voting
got political
class.
now.
That is the farm politics
got
today.
absolutely
We
political.
Are,
So,
I
making
expected-
Shah, I mean,
What-
as
we are
Dev
trying
Ranjan
to
is
make
saying,
sure-
you seem
So
to
of
be.
course it is political.
Is it
What's wrong
political
with
then?
being
You just
political?
said the farmers are going to bring down Mr. Modi.
I
so have you
expected
pretty
a
much
neutral
made up
kind
your
of a
mind that
stand.
that's the direction in which you want the farmers to go?
What's wrong with being political? I don't understand.
yeah.
Everybody can be political. The soldiers can be political. The lawyers can be political. The doctors can be political. Only farmers must not have any
No,
political
I thought
will.
you take
Why?
a neutral
They
political
are a voting
position,
class.
discuss
They are
political
elected in
issues in the
India.
context of farmers, not trying bringing down Modi. Farmers,
can I
that's the
point to
direction
something
you're
that
trying to
happened in
give on
2009
national.
and 10?
Okay, so hang on. Let me ask all of you, taking
Good
his
God,
point.
he's in power now. I'm just making a
So
statement
anybody
of
who's in
fact.
power, your job is to just bring them down. That's what you're
I
saying.
would have said the same thing if the
Irrespective
Congress
of the
was in power.
policies.
Deshrathan Sahab, if you make extraordinary promises,
Of
people
course
will
they
have
can be brought
extraordinary
down if they don't
expectations.
deliver to
I'll
the
give you
farmers.
more
And
data
you are
on it.
now being reluctant
I'll
to
tell you.
impart
Okay,
anything you have accountability to the people.
Can I ask Nalini Singh? Let me start with you, and then I'm going to come to all of you. His point about the farmers becoming a political force. This is the road to 2019. This show is really about looking at implications of everything that happens with a general election. Is this going to be a series, as he said, a political stunt which will peter out and will not actually influence voting patterns, or will it not happen? Let me get you to stick your neck out.
Vikram, I don't think this is going to go down. This is not just about hardship and drought. It goes beyond that. What's happened is that the farmers also see the what you were saying just now, the aspirations, or Mohammed was saying aspirations. They see the disparity. Their own level might have gone up just a little bit, but they see the disparity. But what I want to say is that so I don't think it'll simmer definitely. Whether it is conclusive or not for 2019 is another matter. But you know, this point that Mr. Tandon brought out, that they are not able to influence. You know, when you go to a village, you know that this is the tola where this caste lives. This is the tola where this caste lives. You know, you can call it whatever, indifferent, but these are the blocks in which these castes live in a village. And you can, the paradox is that you've got people living in very close proximity, dependent on each other. The landlord employs labor, but is the landlord able to influence the labor's voting pattern? Yeah, if he holds back the wages, etc. But to a large extent, they will vote according to caste. So I think that this is an extremely important matter. And if this can be broken, if this, you know, coda can actually, you can crack this, then I think that actually things politically they'll differ. But I have things to say about the farmers.
Okay, I'm just going to take a slip into a really quick break. I want to return to this issue a little bit and then also see how that might affect these assembly elections which are on our head, which we're looking at, what we're calling the semi-finals. Turn our attention to that in just 2 or 3 minutes. Don't go away. And then Manavendra Singh also going to be joining us when we come back after this break.